Sarah, you're gonna walk home. I'm going out drinking with my coworkers. It'll take you about 3 hours, but you can make it. Good luck.
Mike, are you serious? You're choosing a drink up over your wife who just had a baby?
Huh? So what if you just had a baby? Giving birth is just what women do, ain't it? If you are still pregnant, maybe, but you've already had the kid. Suck it up. I'm outta here. On the day I was discharged, my husband Mike came to pick me up at the station. But as soon as I got in the car, he told me to walk home. Without any hesitation, Mike was about to abandon me right after I'd given birth. Most folks would have blown their top, but I just calmly said, like I was given a work report.
Walk for 3 hours? Where exactly do you want me to go? We're heading to our new place now, which should take about 10 minutes.
Huh? New place? What are you talking about? Quit acting tough and get out of the car. Can you even be a mom like this? Pull yourself together. Mike laughed loudly as he started the engine, then gave me a look that said get out of the car. I checked to make sure I hadn't left anything behind and got out. At that moment, I was laughing inside. He's so clueless, thinking he's got the upper hand when I know everything. Mike's gonna get what's coming to him. I've been holding back and preparing for this for a long time. I took a deep breath and started my revenge. Just as Mike was about to drive off, I caught sight of two familiar figures.
Hey, what are you two doing here?
It was my father-in-law and mother-in-law. Mike was surprised by their unexpected appearance and slammed on the brakes. He couldn't hide his shock, probably 'cause he'd heard they had other plans. I'd asked them to change their plans without letting Mike know. I'd been working behind the scenes.
Mike, we heard everything you just said. How could you make Sarah walk home after she just had a baby?
My father-in-law looked stern, and my mother-in-law spoke angrily through the car window.
What's going on? Weren't you supposed to be on vacation today?
Mike tried to brush it off casually, hiding his true nature. But my father-in-law's eyes were cold.
We heard everything from Sarah beforehand. So your lies won't work. Mike, your behavior is unacceptable. Have you ever thought about how much Sarah's been suffering all this time? What do you mean you heard from Sarah? And it's not a big deal. Just a little walk.
Mike was starting to panic but still tried to calm his parents down. He'd been bullying me without letting his parents know, so he probably thought he could get through this too. But like my father-in-law said, lies won't work. My mother-in-law, who already knew Mike's true nature, fought back tears and said with a shaking voice.
Mike, do you know how hard it's been for Sarah? She was so sick during pregnancy, throwing up and unable to sleep at night. But you never once tried to support her. Don't you have any heart? You don't understand at all how tough it is for her after giving birth.
My mother-in-law's anger exploded. I'd never seen her this angry before. Mike looked flustered and turned to me. He seemed worried about what I might have told his parents. He was being cautious, not wanting to say the wrong thing, but that's pointless. I've told them everything. Still, I decided to answer Mike's unspoken question. Mike, your parents aren't just angry about you bullying your wife. You're cheating, aren't you? Even when I was about to give birth.
What? Cheatin'? What are you talking about, Sarah? I'd never do that. Don't make wild accusations without proof.
Mike's face changed completely at my words. He was desperately denying it, but excuses are useless. He can't fool us. I quietly took out my phone and showed Mike a photo. It was a picture of Mike with a certain woman. It was taken from far away, so the woman's face wasn't clear, but Mike was holding her close, which was enough proof of his cheatin'. Saying I don't have proof? How dare you? Did you think I didn't know anything?
We've seen the photos too. So we know about your cheatin' and who you're cheating with. If you want to deny it, you better show us some proof.
My father-in-law's voice was low and rumbling, and my mother-in-law had tears in her eyes. Mike was caught off guard but still tried to act tough.
You're suspecting me of cheating based on one photo taken from far away? The woman in that photo wasn't feeling well. I was just helping her stand. That's all. Sarah, Dad, Mom, you're all jumping to conclusions.
Of course, I wasn't planning to corner Mike with just this. I let him squirm a bit, but it seems he's determined to keep lying. What an idiot. If he'd just admitted to the bullying and cheating at this point, he might have had a slightly better future.
Mike, you're the one jumping to conclusions. You think I only have one photo as evidence? Sorry, but I've got all the proof I need. Gathering evidence was surprisingly easy. If you don't believe me, come along. To my new place. New place? You really moved? That wasn't a lie?
Mike was still half doubting, but when he saw his parents' fierce expressions, he agreed to come along. Maybe he didn't want to make a scene, but what's really driving Mike is his arrogance, thinking Sarah can't do anything anyway. He's completely underestimated me. To be honest, I didn't care whether Mike believed me or not. 'Cause I'm just telling the truth. No matter how much Mike tries to lie, he can't change the facts. I looked at Mike quietly and made a promise to myself. I'm gonna expose all the truth and make sure Mike gets what he deserves. Along with his parents, I took the first step towards my revenge. On the way to the new place, Mike kept whispering in my ear.
Sarah, is there really a new place? You're just lying, right? It's not too late, just tell the truth. Don't panic. We're almost there. Just shut up and follow me.
I answered calmly. My calmness made Mike a little more nervous. And a few minutes later, his anxiety grew even more.
This is the new place?
Yeah, it is. Everything will be clear once we're inside. In front of us stood an impressive building. Mike looked like he couldn't believe it. But it's too early to be surprised. When he finds out why I moved to this condo, he's gonna be even more shocked. We all got in the elevator, Mike's parents, Mike, and me, and went up to the new place in silence. When we reached my floor, instead of stopping at my place, we went to the door next to it. I took a deep breath, steadying myself for the confrontation about to begin. The front door wasn't locked. I turned the doorknob and opened it. As we all entered the living room, there was a woman waiting for us.
Jennifer, why are you here?
That woman was my sister, Jennifer. Mike's face changed to a look of surprise at her sudden appearance, and the color drained from his face. I could see his eyes darting around and sweat forming on his forehead.
Mike, this condo is also Jennifer's new place. Knowing that, I moved into the same building. Judging by how pale you've gone, I guess you didn't know? Even though Jennifer is the one you're cheating with.
Mike was speechless. He probably never dreamed I'd be so bold as to move close to his mistress. When I first found out about the affair, I couldn't believe Mike was cheating with my sister either. But this is the unchangeable truth. I shot a sharp look at Mike, who was at a loss for words. Realizing his situation was going south fast, he tried to save face.
Jennifer is my mistress? That's ridiculous. Sarah's just got it all wrong.
Right after, I cut him off by pulling out the evidence gathered by the detective from my bag and slamming it on the table.
Forgot what I said? I've got everything, all the proof of your cheating.
Mike picked up the files and went through them one by one. There were photos of him and Jennifer going in and out of fancy stores and hotels. My father-in-law's face was cold as he looked at Mike and said in a low voice,
Mike, got anything to say about these photos? No, it's not like that. There's no way I'd do something like that. Think about it, Jennifer's Sarah's sister.
Mike desperately tried to deny it, but I calmly continued. Remember what I said before we came here? That gathering evidence was surprisingly easy. Didn't that tip you off? It meant your mistress is my sister, so it was easy to make contact and find out where she lived. I moved into the same building as my sister and started keeping tabs. That's how I got these photos of you cheating. Get it now? Mike fell silent, looking shocked. Seems he's regretting underestimating me and coming along so easily. The room went quiet, But then Jennifer spoke up with a shaking voice and tears in her eyes. "I'm so sorry. Jennifer. Your apology can wait. Right now, we need Mike to own up to everything," I said coldly. "I'm angry at my sister too, but Mike comes first. I won't let anyone mess up my plan." The tension in the living room of the new place wasn't about to break easily. I was about to speak again to keep the pressure on, when Mike cut in. "Yeah, I went shopping with Jennifer and stuff. But I was just tagging along, and we only went to the hotel because she wanted advice. There was nothing shady going on. I mean, Jennifer and I are family, even if it's by marriage, right? What's wrong with giving family advice? That ain't weird, is it? Why are you making me out to be the bad guy here? What's he talking about? He never listened to me when I was suffering during pregnancy. I guess what he's saying makes some sense. It's pointless for him to say anything because I know everything. He doesn't know that though, so he's getting carried away with his excuses. Actually, what's the deal with hiring a detective to spy on me and set me up? Sarah, did you cook this all up 'cause you want to divorce me? And you moved without telling me. That ain't right. How can we stay married after all this? I'm done with this crap." Mike tried to leave the living room after saying that, but my father-in-law grabbed his shoulder and held him back firmly. "Mike, we ain't finished here. You're gonna listen to everything Sarah has to say. There's no way we're letting him off easy now." My in-laws felt the same way and glared at Mike. Not wanting to miss this chance, I pulled out a small recorder from my bag. I held it out right in front of Mike's face and pressed play without hesitation. Mike grimaced and stepped back. Then, in the quiet room, a conversation between a man and woman started playing. "I'm sick of Sarah. Looks like I can divorce her soon. Then we'll be free, and we can be happy together." "Really? She hasn't noticed anything?" "Don't worry, Sarah's too dumb to figure it out. Even if she did, I can talk my way out of it. She does whatever I say. I've been saving up some cash for this. We can make it work if we go somewhere far away." As those words echoed through the room, I could see the shock on Mike's face and my in-laws' faces. My father-in-law's face turned red, and his fists were shaken. "Whose voice is that, Mike? Sounds like you and Jennifer to me." His voice was mixed with anger and disappointment. Mike couldn't grasp the situation and could only tremble in fear. I revealed the truth with a stern attitude. "I recorded this with a bug I planted in the car. I thought Mike might try to weasel out even if I showed him the photos, so I prepared this. And sure enough, you tried to make excuses. But it's useless. This is proof that you were trying to dump me and get a divorce. I hadn't let your parents hear this recording before now." I retrieved this bug when Mike came to pick me up at the station. He told me to walk home and kicked me out of the car, but I checked for anything I'd forgotten before getting out. That's when I got it from the back seat. Mike couldn't hide his shock anymore, and all his bravado from earlier was gone. It's actually pretty funny. He was so sure he hadn't been caught and tried to smooth talk his way out, but not only was his affair exposed, but his whole plan with my sister was out in the open. As a result, he couldn't talk his way out and got backed into a corner. It'd be weird if he could stay calm now. Mike in front of me didn't have an ounce of composure left. At this point, the only thing left for him to do was to give up, but he still tried to make excuses. "No, Sarah, this is all wrong. I was really planning to end the affair. Yeah, maybe I did those things before, but I regret it now." "Everything you say is a lie. You were planning to abandon me from the start. You said so yourself in this recording." I stared at him coldly as I said this. Mike's face turned pale, and he was at a loss for words. At that moment, my father-in-law, overcome with anger, grabbed Mike and yelled, "Mike, we knew everything beforehand. Bullying your wife, cheatin', and with Sarah's sister no less. You didn't know we knew, but you still had the nerve to lie and make excuses to our faces. Don't you realize how stupid you've been?" The room practically shook with his fury. Mike froze like time had stopped. In this explosive situation, my mother-in-law was with tears in her eyes. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I never thought this would happen." Seeing his mother apologize, Mike bit his lower lip and looked down. Silence fell for a while. But it seems anger and self-justification were still bubbling up in Mike's heart. He opened his mouth again, this time with a defiant attitude. "Enough already, Sarah. Yeah, I cheated, that's true. But don't the people who get cheated on have some blame too?" I stared at Mike with a mix of surprise and anger. My in-laws also looked like they couldn't believe how brazen Mike had become.
"What are you saying? You don't know how Sarah's been feeling, she's been putting up with so much."
My mother-in-law's words made me think back on my married life with Mike. When I was pregnant, no matter how tough it got, he never supported me. The days of terrible morning sickness. Nights when just smelling food made me sick, and I couldn't eat anything. Lying in bed unable to sleep, crying non-stop. And when the ultrasound showed the baby's growth was slow. Even then, Mike just brushed it off saying, "Don't worry and it'll be fine," and was always out of the house for drinks with coworkers or business trips. I kept working while feeling awful until I could take maternity leave, tried my best to eat, and did everything I could to rest a bit. My in-laws know how hard that was. Their encouragement was the only thing that kept me going.
"I know Sarah had it rough. But I ain't perfect either. After she got pregnant, she stopped paying attention to me. That made me feel lonely. Sarah was working hard to have and raise your child, you know? It's pathetic that you don't understand that and just say you were lonely."
Pathetic? I've been working hard too. Stress from work, pressure at home. Who understood what I was going through?
"Mike, your excuses ain't worth listening to. The problem is that you betrayed Sarah. Don't try to justify what you did."
Mike's parents were trying their best to make their son understand. They both spoke in a calm tone, holding back their anger. Like Mike said, nobody's perfect. People make mistakes. Even if you do something you can't take back, you can regret it, learn from it, and move on. 'Cause we ain't perfect, it's important to own up to our mistakes. But Mike wouldn't admit it. Not only that, he went and said something unbelievable.
"Justify? What are you talking about? Let's be real, it's the one who gets cheated on that's to blame. I only married you for appearances. Had a kid for the same reason, never had an ounce of love for you. But meeting Jennifer changed my life. If I can marry her, that's all I need. I'd ditch my family for that."
Mike was acting like this was all normal. He wasn't trying to save face or protect his pride by not admitting his mistake. He didn't think he'd done anything wrong at all, so he saw no need to apologize. Even though he was backed into a corner, he had a smug smile on his face. We had to face the fact that Mike was even more rotten as a person than we'd thought.
"You married for appearances? Had a kid for the same reason? And now you're gonna abandon your family? You treatin' Sarah like she's your property or something."
"That's right. Sarah's mine. So I can do whatever I want with her, right? She should be grateful. She got to live a nice dream, being married to me." The moment he said that, Mike grabbed the recorder from my hand and chucked it out the window.
Listening in on people's conversations with this thing, I knew I wasn't wrong. "I'm outta here. I was gonna leave anyway, so this is perfect timing."
Mike's parents were shaken with rage at his unbelievable words. Normally, I'd yell unbelievable, too. But I kept my cool. I saw right through Mike's actions. Like I've said before, I know everything.
"Mike, you really are beyond help. This is your last warning. If you leave now, you're gonna regret it. If you don't want that, admit everything and apologize. Not just to me, but to your parents too."
Are you stupid?
"I ain't gonna regret nothing. You're the one who's beyond help and gonna regret this. You got all high and mighty after being fooled by me. Let me tell you now, don't ever mess with us again. You know what'll happen if you show up in front of us again, right?"
Mike sneered, glaring at us threateningly as he pulled Jennifer out with him. His parents couldn't even chase after him, they just stood there in shock. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. We'll make sure Mike pays for this." "It's okay. There's no need for that. It's all over now. Mike's gonna regret this for sure." My voice was full of confidence, which left my in-laws looking confused. A week later, I was waiting quietly at my in-laws' house for that time to come. After a while, I heard the door open and Mike appeared, looking exhausted. His face showed panic and despair.
"Sarah, you're here. Hey, do you know where Jennifer is? I can't find her anywhere, and I can't get in touch with her. She's your sister, right? Are you two plotting something to trick me again?"
Mike's voice was shaking. I could tell right away that he was really in trouble. Of course, this was all part of my plan. So I calmly answered. "Jennifer's not in this town anymore. She said she was moving to a new place."
"What? What's that mean? What about the new place she just moved into?"
"Guess you weren't told. Actually, Jennifer had a lot of debt. She'd been seeing this guy for a long time. Seems she borrowed money from all over to give to him. She gave him a ton of cash and was always struggling with money. I'd heard bits and pieces about Jennifer's bad situation from our parents. At the time, I never thought she'd try to trick you though." Mike stared at me in shock. Can't blame him for that reaction, since he didn't know anything. I slowly explained the last reveal to Mike. "When I found out about your affair, and with my sister no less, I thought it must be some kind of joke. I hated her just as much as I hated you. I was gonna confront her and make her pay for her crimes along with you." Mike seemed to remember my confrontation at the condo and shuddered again. But I kept on stating the facts without caring. "But you know, when I confronted Jennifer, she said this. It was just for fun. She tricked you because she wanted money. She didn't have a shred of feelings for you, so she begged me to forgive her." Of course, I couldn't forgive her just like that, but as I listened, it seemed Jennifer was running out of money and was moving around to avoid debt collectors. That condo was apparently borrowed temporarily from the guy. That's when I thought, Jennifer's gonna pay for her crimes soon enough, without me having to do anything.
"No way, that's a lie. She never showed any signs of that."
I felt my expression change to a knowing smile. Mike, who'd always looked down on me, was definitely taking damage now. Just one more push. Jennifer was at her limit. She had the same face you did when you walked into this living room just now. So I figured Jennifer would probably turn to you for help. And you, being asked, would try to help her. Then Jennifer would saddle you with as much debt as possible and run off again. Those cold words cut deep into Mike's heart. The situation Mike was in now was exactly as I'd predicted.
"If you knew, why didn't you tell me sooner? If you had, I wouldn't have had an affair with Jennifer. And she's your sister, right? Are you okay with her being unhappy?"
"Oh? Are you regretting it now? Didn't you say you wouldn't regret anything? Don't tell me you've forgotten." Those words knocked Mike down, and he collapsed on the floor. Tears rolled down his cheeks.
"Sarah, please, can't you give me another chance? I want to start over."
His parents stood there, stunned at their son's pitiful state. "Mike, this is the path you chose. You've done terrible things. Now face the consequences."
"Don't say that. Sarah, I'm really sorry. Please forgive me."
Mike apologized deeply, tears flowing. I kept my cool expression and said coldly, "I'm not gonna forgive you. You're gonna take legal responsibility for this. Our marriage is over."
"Please, I'm begging you. I don't have any money 'cause of Jennifer. Come on, we were husband and wife, right?"
You need to accept the consequences of your actions." I looked down coldly at Mike, who was crying on the floor. My voice carried all the pain I'd been through and my determination for the future. Just like Mike wanted, I'm not gonna have anything to do with him ever again. He treated people like objects and even said he'd trick and abandon his family. There's no way I can forgive that easily. I shouldn't forgive it. Above all, Mike only had me and our child for appearance's sake. He's done something that can't be undone. If Mike keeps living the way he has been, there's no bright future ahead for him. That's the one thing I'm sure of. After that, with the help of my in-laws and a lawyer, we started divorce proceedings. Mike lost everything and ended up living under his parents' watchful eye. They're keeping a close eye on him to make sure he doesn't run off. Seeing how this once warm family had changed did tug at my heartstrings a bit. Later, Mike found out that our daughter and I were living happily, and he had to live with deep regret. As for Jennifer, she ended up in an even worse situation. It came to light that she'd tricked multiple men out of money using the same method, and she was arrested on fraud charges. Jennifer had been collecting money from other men the same way she did with Mike. Jennifer's gonna hit rock bottom, but that's just how it goes. You reap what you sow. She should face the consequences of her actions. I moved back to my parents' house and started a new life with them. With the support of my warm family, I'm spending peaceful days with my daughter. Looking at my kids smile, I made up my mind. From now on, we're gonna build a happy future together, just the two of us. Ain't gonna let nobody mess with that.
Mommy, look! I can swing by myself now.
That's great, sweetie. Mommy's so proud of you. One day, I was listening to the kids laughing in this lush green park. My little girl was on the swing with her friends, showing off how happy she was. Watching that scene, I felt happy right down to my bones. But this is just the start. I'm gonna make sure my daughter has a happy future, no matter what. The sun was shining through the trees, lighting up my face as I sat on that park bench. My eyes were full of determination and hope for what's coming next.